Hi, I'm Coach Michael Burt. To get a free copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, text 678 506 7543. Text to get a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, and I'm going to turn you into a legendary creature. At some point in life, you have to leave your amateur desires behind and make a decision to go pro in your life, right? And that's really what a lot of our interview was about, is what are the habits of pros? How do they prepare? How do they show up every day? How hard do they work? How do they mentally train? How do they physically train? And one of the things he said that really reminded me of things was that when you're building a company, you're assembling talent, right? You're assembling talented people. And once those talented people are there, they still have to be coached and developed, which is why you see so many talented teams underperform, is because they have poor coaching, or they have poor managers, or they have poor leadership. And so what happens is they underperform. And as a high school basketball coach, here was a scenario I saw over and over and over. And the scenario was moms and dads would bring their kids to me at 14, and we would have 100 kids try out for the team, but only 20 could make it. So we had to cut 80 people. And certain players would get cut, and the mom and dad would come to me and say, but my daughter's been playing since the time she was 4 years old. And I would say, I understand, but unfortunately, she's played for very poor coaches. She's got very little knowledge, very little skill, maybe some desire, maybe some confidence, but her knowledge and her skill to play at this level is simply not there. Now, here's the problem. Now we can't go back and get it. We can't go back to when she was 6 years old and change her coaches. Well, the same thing is true of business people. If you have poor coaching and your talent is not developed, you constantly underperform in capacity to your true potential, right? So that interview I just did with Dana Cavalier, he was working with the top players in the world, whether it be Jeters of the world or Alex Rodriguez's or these big time people. He worked under Joe Torre. And he talked about the intensity level that those guys go at and how bad they hated to lose. They hated to lose more than they wanted to win. Okay. And so it was a pretty fascinating interview. We'll pump it out and you guys can watch it. But what I see here, this is a collection of talent. Now, this talent has to be coached. And when it's coached, it performs at a higher frequency. So today we're going to be coaching you through your explanation of services. And when you think about this, I have some beliefs, and my beliefs are simple. I believe people do business with other people that believe the same things they do. Unlike Simon Sinek, I fundamentally disagree with Simon Sinek that people care about your why. I do not think for 1 second that if I told you my purpose in life was coaching people their fullest potential, that you would care one bit about it. That people care about their own purpose, but they don't care about other people's purposes. Okay. So I disagree with Sinek on people don't care what you do. They care why you do it. I don't think your why motivates me. I do, however, believe that what motivates me to want to do business with you is you and I line up on what we believe. We believe the same things. And when we believe the same things, we move toward each other. Okay. Does everybody see where I'm going with this? So, yeah. So what I'm trying to set you up to understand is people don't care what you do. They don't care what you do. So when you lead with what you do, you don't get buy-in from people. When you lead with what you believe is when you get buy-in from people. Okay. For example, if I gave my sales presentation to you, I would say at some point, I believe everybody needs a good coach in their life. I believe a good coach can change your life. I believe all top performers have somebody coaching them. Okay. And I believe that those that have a coach earn 3 and 4 times the amount of money than those that don't. These are some core beliefs I have. I believe confidence is the memory of success. Okay. I believe we can't see the picture when we're inside the frame. Like I could just roll these things off. Right. And if you believe the same things I do, what would happen? Would it improve the chance of us doing business together or decrease the chance of us doing business with each other?
Obviously, it's going to increase it.
It would increase. Now, if I told you the reason I'm a coach is because when I was 6 years old, a Little League baseball coach told me, son, one of these days you're going to be a coach. And I was raised by a single mother and she taught me to be tough. You may go, well, that's sweet, but that don't mean I want to do that. I want to spend any money with you. You may say, well, that's a good story, but that don't mean I want. Now, when I start getting into my beliefs, guys, because of my beliefs, there are certain actions that I take. And if you believe the same things I do, you're going to want to be in business with me. You're going to want to be partners with me. And that's all selling really is we're partnering for you to solve a problem for me. But the reason the relationship is so strong is because we believe the same things. So to start the EOS, you got to understand people don't care what you do. I don't even think they care why you do it. Personally, I think they care what you believe because that gives them a chance to believe it too. Okay. The second thing I believe, so people do business with people that believe the same things they do. Okay. The second thing I would tell you as we ease into this concept is having something to say is just as valuable as having somebody to say it to. Now, how many of you have been on a sales call or gotten in front of a group of people and you got off the call and you're like, that was terrible. like, what did I say? Like I didn't have a structure. I didn't have a compelling argument. I didn't have a call to action. I didn't get agreement. I mean, I've been on calls like that.
I've done it.
Where it's like, good Lord, that was a terrible phone call. And it's because you didn't have a structure. Okay. And a good coach helps you build a structure. So I believe in a structure called the explanation of services. And you say, well, where did this explanation of services originate? It originated through a person in my coaching program that was an insurance agent. And he sold insurance and, securities and these things. And he got in my coaching program 8 or 9 years ago, and he was making about $400,000 a year selling insurance. But he figured out that anytime he used the word insurance, people shut down because insurance is kind of a toxic word. And one of the strategies he uses is whole life insurance, where you wealthy people fund whole life policies. They build cash value, they borrow against it. Then they use it for a long-term wealth strategy because they're not taxed on the back end when they get the distribution. Okay. And whether you believe in the strategy or not, a lot of wealthy people use this strategy and they max fund these things and they can borrow against it, the policy. And it's a long story, but that was what he was selling and he was good at it. But he could only get to about $400,000 a year. And he gets in my coaching program around the time that I write the book, Person of Interest. And he's about 40 something years old. And he said, this is it. What I really need to do is become a person of interest. And what I really need to do is come up with a structure in which I can explain this strategy without using the word insurance. And so he works on this for years and he comes up with the explanation of services. And he comes up with this framework that he only used in the insurance world. And because I'm coaching him, I'm like, look, I can take that concept and take it to the telecommunications world. I can take it to the mortgage world. I can take it to the real estate world. I can take it to the door-to-door sales world. Like, let me take that concept and I'm going to commercialize that concept. And you're going to become even a bigger person of interest because I'm going to make you famous because I'm going to use this concept. And so he went from 400,000 of income to 800, from 800 to 1.9 million, from 1.9 million. I think he's at almost 4.2 million a year right now by using this concept. He drastically increased. Look at his ability to make more money because of the way he explains his services. So I go through it, I tweak it, and I come up with this tactic I'm going to show you today. How many of you believe that a world-class explanation of services is directly correlated to your closing ratios, directly correlated to how fast you can speed up the sale, how fast you get agreement in people? Raise your hand if you believe that.
My hand is up.
Okay. Now, So here is the structure we're going to coach through today. And I want you thinking, because I know you guys have been working on this. Okay. The structure looks like this. Step one, once you initiate the call or the meeting, and you have built rapport and you've disarmed the person, and I build rapport by just getting, just talking, where you at, where you located in the world, how's it going, what's the weather like there today, how many kids do you have, I build a little bit of rapport. And then I move to a discovery period where I ask questions. I may say, Dan, let's go through a few things here. You tell me where you think your biggest missing structures are. And I'll go boom, boom, boom. And Dan goes, well, this is what I'm really doing is I'm locating a problem. Okay. And I believe money changes hands when problems are solved. So I'm locating a problem, and then I'm going to come back to Dan. I'm going to make a suggestion for a solution to that problem. That's my 4 steps to the sale: initiate, disarm, locate a problem, offer a compelling solution. Well, somewhere in there, I call it the moment of truth, because Dan and I don't know each other. I'm going to say, Dan, let me share with you a few things I believe. There's really 3 things I believe. I believe you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. I believe a good coach can change everything for you. And I believe those that have a coach earn 3 and 4 times the amount of money than those that don't. Now, let me tell you why I believe that, Dan. This is just in conversation, and I'm working through this structure. Now, if Dan believes the same things I do, and he's like, yes, 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 how fast do you think I'll know that we have a legitimate prospect in Dan when I'm getting that? Within 15 seconds. See, literally within 15 seconds, I know if Dan's a legitimate prospect or not. Because if he believes the same things I do, he's going to go, yep, that's good. Yep, that's right. Yep, I'm in agreement. I believe selling is about getting agreement. So I never lead with what I do. I always lead with what I believe. Dan, there's 3 things I believe. There's really 2 reasons why I believe that. So step 1 is you got very strong belief statements. Okay, what did I lead today's call off with? I believe that sometime in your life, you're going to make a decision to leave your amateur desires behind and go pro. Everybody hear that? Now, some of you are sitting there going, that's right, I'm ready to go pro. I'm tired of playing small. Okay? Now, what I'm doing is I'm leading with my beliefs. Okay? And I'm giving you a chance to believe it too. So step 1, lead with what you believe. And I like to have 3 belief statements. Okay, now you guys have been working through this exercise. Would anybody like to give me their 3 belief statements? Okay. All right. Is your name Carla Garner?
Ilya.
Yep, I am Carla Gardner.
All right. All right.
And I truly believe that if I write something down and I believe I can do it, I can do it. So, and you said this yourself best. If you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to actually physically write down goals that I believe are achievable. So that's what I believe is if I can, I can.
Okay. Now let me say that's good. Let me say the same thing he just said, but let me say it in a slightly different way. I believe that when you write something down, it imprints it in the subconscious mind. And let me tell you what I believe. 10 years ago, I sat on a beach and I wrote down 10 things I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to become a millionaire. I wanted to write a best-selling book. I wanted to win a championship. I want to have a place on the ocean. I lost that document that I wrote it down on. 10 years later, I found it. And everything I wrote down, I had accomplished. Now, you see what I just did right there? I took exactly the same thing you just said. And I said, here's what I believe. I believe when you write something down, it imprints it in the subconscious mind. And once it's imprinted in the subconscious mind, you will take action toward it and you will accomplish it. And now let me tell you why I believe that, because it actually happened to me. You see what I'm saying? Now, so I take a belief and I sexy it up a little bit. Okay? Because you want very strong, compelling beliefs.
Let me try this again.
Okay? Trying to get your hair like mine? Now, here's my point. You know what? Do you know one of the statements that insurance guy makes? He starts off by saying, "I believe that there's an attack on wealth in this country. I believe in sheltering money legally off the radar screen of the IRS." He goes through these beliefs, and you're like, "Dang, that's a strong belief." He wants it to be so strong that you either say, "Yes, I'm in," or "No, I'm out." He actually wants to weed out the 84% of people who are not in and get to the 16% of people who are in, right? Because that's what the law of diffusion tells us. 16% of people are going to be open and inviting. All right. So anybody else want to give me some a belief statement they have?
Yeah, this is Jeremy. I believe repetition is the mother of skill.
Good. Why do you believe that?
Because I believe that when you end up practicing and repeating, you become better and better. But you have to have, obviously, faith and trust in a coach or mentor.
It's good. It's good.
You know, I want to make a comment on that. I love that thought. I once heard a famous kung fu master say that you don't need to worry about someone that knows 1,000 different techniques. You need to worry about someone that practices one technique 1,000 times.
Yeah, that's right. So to your point, and I don't know who that was, but to your point, here's what I believe. I believe when you get in the heat of battle, thinking is actually a liability. I believe you don't have time to think when you're in the middle of competition. You should have already done it 1,000 times. So there's what's called muscle memory. Okay. Muscle memory is you don't have to think about it. You instinctively do it. This is why you have to practice your pitch. This is why you have to role play. This is why you have to test. This is why you have to have repetition in selling, because you do it so many times, it becomes muscle memory to you. So I like for you guys to have 3 beliefs. Now, JT, I want to brag on you because I watched one of your videos on LinkedIn the other day, and it was professional and you look good. And this is these are the areas when you have a world-class explanation of service, that's the precise place to use it in those videos. Hey, I'm JT Hustle. Let me tell you guys what I believe. Let me tell you why I believe it. Let me tell you what it is we do. Let me tell you how we do it a little bit different. Let me tell you some examples of people we've done it for. Man, if I'm talking to you, direct message me, right? Always have a call to action in everything you do. But when you have this structure, if I called you out of the blue and said, "Hey, tell me what you do," you say, "Well, before I tell you what I do, there's 2 things I want you to know. I'll tell you what I believe. Because of my beliefs, let me tell you what it is we do." Okay. So step 1, clear on your beliefs.
Hey, can I jump in then real quick, Coach?
Yes.
I appreciate that too. Thank you very much for checking out the video. I was going through the 5 steps, so I think mine may be a little bit different than what we've heard so far. But I believe we're at the beginning of the digital transformation of both life and business.
It's good. That's a good power compelling statement. All right. Now, because of that belief, JT, what do you do?
Okay. Would that be number 2, the why?
No, skip
No?
for this second, skip the
Okay.
why and tell me what.
I empower businesses to make necessary changes to grow. I empower businesses to make those necessary changes to survive and grow in today's competitive environment.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. Empower, equip, facilitate. Any of those words would be fine. Now, here's what I noticed when I review EOSs many times. Some of their best stuff is down there in the middle. And what I recommend people doing is taking some of the stuff in the middle and put it up at the top. Like JT may go back and go, there's really 3 things I believe. I believe we're at the beginning of a total transformation when it becomes a life and business. I believe the number 1 thing a business can do right now is survive, is not only survive, but thrive. I believe this. So you can take some of your meat and put it up at the top, because I want you to remember, if you look at it like an elevator pitch, you only got a few seconds to get my attention. And you either going to punch me right in the face, or I'm going to be like, "Is that it? Like, is that all you got, man?" So he's got some good, what I would call raw material there. Okay. I always say 3 strong beliefs. I believe you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. I believe those that have a good coach is going to earn 3 and 4 times the amount of money than others, right? I believe every person on planet Earth needs a good coach in their life. Okay. Now let me tell you why I believe that. I can show you statistical data of those that have coaches in their life that earn this amount of money. Okay. Now let me tell you what I do as a result of these beliefs. I really engage you in a set of systematic behaviors that allows you to do something tomorrow, Luke, that you can't do today. And if it works right, I'm going to get you a 43% increase in a 1-year cycle. Now I've done that for X number of people. I'd love for you to talk to them if you'd like to. And if I could get that kind of results for you, would you be interested in doing a strategy session with me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now that's an explanation. Look how I went through the explanation service. What if I said, hey, Luke, I got a coaching program, just like all them other coaching programs that's out there. Oh, right.
Yep.
So go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you talked about earlier, insurance, the word insurance being toxic, and your guy there figuring out a new way to, approach it. In telecom business, I mean, at least from my experience, hey, I'd like to talk to you about your phone and internet. Phone and internet are toxic because absolutely every single person that ever calls them uses those words. It's the same thing.
Yes.
You're
They
right.
shut you out as soon as they hear that. I'm not interested. I'm good. Don't call me.
That's exactly right. Because those are commoditized words.
Yep.
So I typically don't use the word coach, even in my, I engage you in a set of systematic behaviors that allows you to do something tomorrow you can't do today.
Cliches,
Say again.
overusing cliches
That's right.
in a sales process.
That's right. So when you think about, to JT's point, you see the insurance guy doesn't use insurance. He uses the word strategy. If I could give you a strategy that would help you shelter money off the radar screen of the IRS legally, right? And would you be interested in it? That's the way he uses it. Okay. You don't use the word insurance. He's going to use an insurance product, but he's not going to say insurance because that's a toxic word. Just like you saying phone and internet, and it's like toxic words. Like, look, man, I got a good phone. I got a good internet. I don't need you. And that's the worst thing you can do, is just be a commodity. You're a specialist. Okay. So first we lead with what we believe. And I like 3 belief statements. Second, I like for you to tell me why you believe it, which gives me a chance to believe it too. Okay. After that, we move into what you do. Notice I didn't lead with what I do. The third step is what you do. And I like 3 things. We really do 3 things. We do this, we do this, we do this. And it needs to be dumbed down. Like, don't complicate it. Like sometimes I say I take real complicated growth and I make it simple. Okay. There's typically 5 big missing structures most businesses have. I help you find and fill those missing structures. You see what I'm saying? Like I take something and I break it down to where it's very granular, where a person goes, oh, okay, I understand. I could use that. So you got to come up with what you do that's not complicated. I'm working with this young lady in California that is big on hydration. She's taking the word hydrate. Now, when you think of the word hydrate, you think of what? Drink more water? Like you're going to tell me to drink more water? But there's a whole lot more to it. It has to do with biomolecular cells and how you break it down and how the body works together. And I'm like, here's what I need you to do. I need you to make it simple. Okay. You may think that hydration is just drinking more water. I'm actually going to show you how you hydrate works with the cell structure, works with this, and here's going to be the outcome of that. And you're like, whoa, I didn't know that. Okay. So how many of you could tell me what it is you do in clear terms? Somebody give me an example of what you do. If I saw you and we went through that, tell me what you believe, tell me why you believe it. Now, somebody give me, this is what we do. What would you say?
Coach, this is Ilya.
Yep.
I say I help clients find the fastest internet, best voice quality at the most competitive rates.
Good.
So to that point, I wanted to ask you, how do you make so I have my strong, what I believe is what I do. I have that down.
Yep.
But, and I totally like this is what I believe, this is why I believe it. But I feel like, I believe, 90% of people are overpaying for their telecom. That's
good.
vague. That's
Yeah.
how do you make a powerful, this is what I believe, this is why I believe it.
Well, let's take it outside the world of telecom, and let's make it broader. Meaning, you believe, what I heard you say is you believe in speed, right? You believe in speed. Like I believe. Here's what I say. I believe in being a cheetah versus a turtle. Right? Like I believe those that operate with speed win the most. So you could take that part that you have down later about doing it fast and bring it up there and say, I don't mind you saying I believe 90% of people are overpaying for this. I think that's a strong belief statement. I believe speed. I believe it's not the big that eat the small today. It's the fast that eat the slow. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So coach, I have a question. When you tell somebody, do you say, if someone asks you what you do you say, I believe? Do you say that in the sentence?
Yeah, great question. I say, before I tell you what I do, for it to make sense, let me back up and tell you what I believe. Okay, I don't get into the commoditization trap. I travel on airplanes a lot, and people see my championship ring and they always look at it 3 or 4 times, and then they finally get up enough courage to ask me, is that a Super Bowl ring? Right. And I want to say, do I look like I play in NFL to anybody? I'm 5'6". I weigh 168 pounds. I almost joke when I say, yeah, I was the kicker for the Patriots, but if I want to enter into conversation with them, Dan, sometimes I don't want to talk to people when I'm on a plane. So if I want to enter into conversation with them, I say, no, it's not a Super Bowl ring, but it is a championship ring because I'm a former championship women's basketball coach, but I retired from that. Then it kind of piques their interest. And they're like, retired? Like, how old are you? And I say, well, I have a basic belief in my life. I believe everybody needs a good coach in their life. And so at 31 years old, I actually retired to do this, this, and this. And they go, wow, that's interesting. Tell me about that. And some people have said, let me give you my business card so you can follow up with me because I've been looking for a guy like you. Now, if I don't want to talk to them, Dan, when they ask me, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm a life coach. And they typically stop the conversation right there because they're like, I don't need a life coach in my life, right? Which is exactly what I want them to do. I don't want to talk to them anymore. So if I don't want to talk, I'm a commodity. If I do want to talk, I say, I'm glad you asked. This is the ring I have, but let me tell you what I believe and it'll all make sense. Okay. So that's kind of how I answer that question. Now, let's go back up here to the question of making it sexy. Notice I was coached by a guy who taught us take everything that's a commodity, give everything a unique name, and make everything a unique process. So when I use the word fast, I add like a descriptor to it. I believe in being fast like a cheetah. And that gives like a more descriptive thing than just say, I believe in having fast internet or fast speed, right? Like I believe in being a cheetah versus a turtle. I believe 90% of people are overpaying for this. I believe this. And I sexy it up a little bit and I go, oh, okay, I believe the same things you do. I'm not a turtle. Okay, good. Because of those beliefs, there's really 3 things we do. Okay, now let's go back to your 3 things you do again that you said you felt good about. Is it, how do you pronounce your name? Ilya?
Ilya?
Yeah.
Give me the 3 things you do.
Help people save money, increase their telecom support, and sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Are you talking about off the sheet or just anything?
Now, when you a minute ago when you gave it, it was much better than you just gave it.
Right.
I got caught off guard. I'm sorry. You want me to repeat that?
Yes.
Yeah, what you had on your sheet. Elliot.
Okay. I help people get the best voice quality at the most competitive rates.
Okay. It's not bad. It's not bad. I help people do this. I do this. I do this. I help people improve voice quality. Okay. Now you may come back there and actually use the why statement and say, let me tell you why that's important. Right. I think you got to have real compelling arguments when you're giving an EOS, guys. We believe this because let me tell you why we believe it. Let me tell you, there's 3 things we do. And it's like those 3 things got to be boom, 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 where a person goes, this is good. This is good stuff right here. Okay. Then you move to how you do it different. Okay. And this gives you a chance to say, I like addressing the elephant in the room, especially when you're selling a commodity like you guys are. I like you saying, now you're probably wondering how this is different than somebody else that does this. It's really two or three ways we do it different than other people. Okay. Jason Weller, how would you say you guys do it different than other people?
Hey, thanks, Coach. You hear me all right now?
Yes, I can.
So how I started mine, I believe in who I am because I have faith in myself, I have faith in my company, and I have faith in my product.
Okay, that's good.
And what do I do? Coach, thanks for the time. You know, I would like to review your current technology services, and I want to help guide a complete solution to improve your day-to-day productivity.
Okay. How do you do it different than other people?
So what's different about me, Coach, is my services, my company, we don't charge to do this. We do this complimentary for you because we want to ultimately help you out. I'm different because I have over 20 plus years of experience in this industry, and I'm better than all of my competitors.
Okay. Do you have data or support to back up your claim that you're better than other people?
I pulled that right out of my back pocket.
Good.
No, I didn't put in the in the Word document any data. So that is interesting. I do like how you mentioned, improving 43% of, year after year growth. So that's something I should go back to and actually put some hard facts in there.
Yeah. And I think, well, it goes back to your faith. You got faith and confidence in yourself, which is good, which is what you need. But when you're trying to sell me, you got to understand different personalities are sold in different ways. Like I'm certified in the DISC profile. And if you were trying to sell me a high D, I'm to the point, no nonsense. Show me how you're going to make me more money. Right? Like you don't have to do rapport building. You don't have to ask about my wife and daughter. You don't have to ask how the weather is in Tennessee, because if you detect my personality is like, Coach, all I need is 14 minutes to show you how we can help you make $1 million more or save this. Right? Now that's a D, but what if I was a high C? That's why you would need the data. That's why I need assurance. That's where you would need to say, you know what? So when I detect that a person needs more data, I've got all of these data points to use in my EOS. Well, let me give you an example. I work with a $2.2 billion bank. I coach 500 people in 43 cities. I was able to increase their sales by 43% in a 1-year cycle. You see how I throw all that data at them? And then a high C personality needs information, assurance, data. So I may say, let me give you 3 examples of people we've been very successful with.
Gotcha.
And if you don't know the personality profile like I do, then you'll never go wrong by giving that data, I think. Okay. But like I said, if you're selling to a guy like me, it's, look, you got 14 minutes. Show me how you're going to help us make money or save money. Okay. But you're going to hook me with your belief. I believe in speed. Like a guy like me, you're going to come in and say, man, I believe in speed. I believe in this. And to your point, I believe 90% of people are wasting money. That gets my attention because I want to know, are we wasting money? Okay. Then it's like, okay, because of those beliefs, we're going to do this, this, and this. And you could even, Jason, include that. We're going to come in and do a complimentary overview of everything you do. Most companies charge you. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this. Now, if it works like it's supposed to, here's what's going to happen, Coach. You're going to save 20% here. You're going to get this here. And I can give you 10 examples of people that we've done that for. That's social proof. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Now, when you really get good at this, look how fast I roll these things off, guys, because to me, it's a way of life now. Like this is the way I think. There's a formula I'm using. Belief, back it up with your premise. Tell me what you do. Tell me how you do it different. Tell me who you've done it for. Like I'm working through that cycle. So let's go back to JT when he's doing his LinkedIn videos. Hey guys, I'm JT. I've got a couple beliefs. Let me tell you what we do. He can even deconstruct that whole thing and break it down into short segments on what he does and what he believes and why he believes it. Like it can become a whole video series of things. Okay. But it's not a good EOS if you don't come down the home stretch with a knockout punch. And the knockout punch is, Dan, man, if I could do this for you like I've done it for all these other people, what would stop us from moving to the next round with each other? You see, that is the question that most people lack. Can we all agree? Yes or no? Okay.
Yes.
The question is the ask. It's like, look, out of everything I shared with you, Tim Iverson, what piqued your interest the most? Oh, I really like this part and this part. Great. Let's talk about that. That's how you keep the ball moving. Or I use, based on psychology, it feels like this is the right thing for you. Do you agree? It sounds like we've got a good plan. Would you like to move forward? Right? It seems like this is a perfect fit for what you've been looking for. Can we go to, would you like to go the next round? Or sometimes I say, have you seen enough to make a decision? Right? If I'm feeling extra tough that day, I just go for the kill right then. I say, Tim, man, it seems like you're ready to do this. What would stop you from moving forward right now with me? All they can say is I'm not ready, or I need some more time, or I need to think about it. That shouldn't stop me from making the ask. Remember, our first coaching session I did with you guys was about going for the kill, right? It's like making the ask. Okay. Questions?
Yeah. So on step number 4, what I put down, and now I'm realizing obviously it needs listening to you kind of roll with, you know, how you really spice it up and all that. Mine will be a little bland, but I think it has again, some bones here. Well, how we do it differently. UTEL's partnered with the top telecommunications companies in the industry nationwide. That allows us to give you options when it comes to the right solution for your business, unlike somebody who deals directly with one company.
Okay. That's fine. Here's what you can say. Most people have limited options. We have partnered with all the top companies in the world,
Like that.
but we can actually bring you the right option for you.
Like that.
Most people do this. That's not us. When I get to the differential advantage for me, I say, I was actually a true championship coach, man. You know, I know how to win. I know how to take people from all walks of life, also all socioeconomic backgrounds, and put them into a friggin' championship team. Now, the other guy you're looking at, what has he done? He woke up one day and called himself a business coach. Okay. So I like to draw a differential and just find one piece. And I don't care who you're competing against. Sometimes people call into my office and say, well, you know, we're looking at you or Tony Robbins. And I say, well, has Tony Robbins ever called you? Just out of curiosity. Do you ever think you're going to talk to Tony Robbins? Do you think you're going to get Tony Robbins to personally coach you? Like, you're going to get me coaching you. Okay. And some people go, you're right. I'm going to get you. And that's one, you need a whole list of differentiators so that you can pivot when people throw these things at you. Well, so-and-so came in last week and he was cheaper than you. I understand he may have been cheaper. Okay. But let me ask you a question. Anytime in my life that I've ever gone cheap, I got exactly what I paid for. How many times have I gone cheap and regretted it? Right? Now, we're not the cheapest, but we're the best. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Ronald, would you rather have the cheapest or would you rather have the best?
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, if you want to go cheap, I'll send you a guy that's cheap. Okay. But that ain't me.
So, Coach, I have a question at this point. This applies to, as my team telemarkets or Dave Rossi's team telemarkets, you're saying this live to a person, but this same script we're creating here today and had my team working on, this also gets put in the form of an email if I constant contact email my customers, correct?
I am.
Okay.
See, when I go back to people that have shown interest, let's say they're in my farm club, that means I've shared my explanation of service and they've indicated interest. When I go back to them, I say, man, it's great talking to you. It looks like we believe the same things. You know, there's really, just as a reminder, there's really 3 things I believe. I believe this, I believe this. Now, because of the belief, here's the plan I put together for you. So yes, you can use it in emails, videos, phone conversations. And if you guys, anybody on this team is involved in recruiting, I have a set of core beliefs when I'm recruiting people. I believe in coming in early and staying late. I believe work is a distribution channel for your talents. I believe there's a difference between an occupation and a vocation. I believe when a man asks you to go 1 mile, you should go 2. Now, does that sound like something you believe in? And if they look at me like, oh Lord, no, I don't want to come in early and stay late, or I want to go half a mile when they ask me to go 1 mile. So the people that I attract, they're like, I'm in. I've been looking for somebody like you, coach. Good. Now step over here. And the people that ain't, it's like, okay, step over here.
Right.
I use it as a recruiting tool. I use my EOS as a recruiting tool. This is what I believe. This is why I believe it. This is what we're going to do. Okay. This is how we're going to do it different than everybody else. These are success stories of people we're doing it for. Now, are you in or are you out? Okay. Now, what's funny is, they got this thing about Michael Jordan on television right now about, if you go back and watch that documentary on Jordan. And I'm buddies with Tim Grover, and Tim Grover was Jordan's strength coach for 15 years. And Grover told me once that they were making a recruiting pitch to get, I can't remember his name, Sam somebody, I can't remember his name, the big post player. And they went around the room, and Phil Jackson made a pitch of why they should get him, why he should come to the Bulls. And Reinsdorf made a pitch why the Bulls was the greatest organization. And Scottie Pippen made a pitch of why they make the right. Then they got to Jordan, and he said, Sam, we're going to win a championship with or without you. Now, are you coming over or not? That was Jordan's EOS. Look, we're going to win whether you come or not. You want to come to the Bulls or not? And Jordan just got up and walked out of the room. Now, my point is, I'm only looking for Navy SEALs, right? Go back, Army, Navy, Marines. They're all recruiting at an event. Army gets up, makes their pitch, be all you can be. Join the Army. Navy gets up and make their pitch on why you should join the Navy. The Marine gets up and says, look, there's only 2 of you in this room tough enough to be a Marine. Now, which 2 is it going to be? And 2 guys stood up. He said, all right, I'll see you out there in the hallway. That was his recruiting pitch. But look how awesome that is, right? Yeah. I want to get you guys to the point where you are the buyer versus the seller, that you are so good that if people don't want to do business with you, you just say, who's next, right? This is what we believe. This is why we believe it. Now, are you in or are you out? And if you're out, it's okay, because there's 7 billion people on the planet. Last time I checked, they all need telecommunications. So and what you're selling. Okay.
And can I throw something different at you?
Absolutely.
So I was thinking about the comment at the beginning. You were talking about the insurance guy who wants a pitch without saying insurance. So kind of went back to some just more business questions as opposed to right off the bat what I believe in, not necessarily as telecom, but let's see. I believe I can make all small and medium-sized businesses more efficient, productive, and profitable with integrity.
Okay.
That's what I believe in.
Okay. That's good. And if you could say
so, it's not really what everyone else has. And I don't know if it's important to tell people what we believe in and have technology kind of in the first couple sentences.
No, you don't have to include the product in the belief statement. What you're really trying to do is just get me to move towards you. Okay? Get agreement. You follow what I'm saying? You're going to introduce the product later. What you're trying to do right now is okay? Think about what Steve Jobs did many years ago when he came out with these various concepts of we believe in changing the world. We believe, right? I mean, he asked Scully when they were taking a walk. Scully was hesitant to come over to Apple to be president, which turned out to be a bad move for Jobs because he turned around and fired him. But what did he say to him? He said, look, if you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, go ahead. Or if you want to come to Apple and change the world, come with us. Now, which one would you like to do? Be the president of Pepsi, or would you like to come over to Apple and change the world? Because we believe in changing the world. And that was the line that got Scully to come over. Hey, if you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, go do it, man. But at Apple, we believe this, right? We believe in the crazies and the instrumental, and we believe in this, and we believe in this. Like Jobs was a master at saying, this is what we believe at Apple. Okay. And that's why people were so attracted to him. Like he's going against the grain. So for you, Dan, I think you got to get a little rhythm there in your beliefs. Like I would rather you say it. I believe really there's really 3 things I believe versus one long sentence. It's really 3 things I believe. I believe this, I believe this, I believe this. And I think people will go, I'm in. Sounds good. Okay.
Coach, to that point, so when your employees, when your folks are calling and they're reaching out on your behalf, are they using the same, do you guys have like instead of a mission statement, a we believe statement? So is everybody kind of in that same mindset, delivering that same message?
Yes. And we sell different products just like you do. So we have a four steps to the sale: initiate, disarm, locate a problem, offer a solution. But we call it the moment of truth. Now, I'm going to give you a shortened version here to JT's question. You're not always going to go through the whole explanation of service when you're on the phone with the person. Sometimes it's going to be this, sometimes it's going to be this short. It's going to be statement of belief, example, call to action. Meaning, we believe at Michael Bird Enterprises, we believe a good coach can change your life, right? We routinely help people get a 43% increase in their sales. Now, is that something that you think you'd like to unpack and discuss? So what I did there is I went statement of belief, right? Statement of belief. Then I pivoted to an example. Then I pivoted to an action. And we call that the shortened version of EOS. Okay. I don't think you're always going to have time to go through the whole thing. You know, if I'm doing videos, it's like, hey, I'm Coach Burt. Yes, I believe everybody needs a good coach. We're coaching some of the top people in the world. If you're ready to go pro in your life, DM me right now. Let's go. See how simple that was? Statement of belief, example, call to action. So,
Coach.
Yes.
No, I was wondering when I first did this, I filled out the sheet that had a lot of all the questions, like 6 of them. And then I didn't do anything with the first page that had 3 because it seemed like it was the same thing. But what I did was, because we were doing this as a company about a year ago, and I just went back to what we had developed and sort of tweaked that a little bit. But hearing what you're saying, it's more of a, like, you're trying to come up with a short phrase that depicts who I am, sort of who I am and what I believe. Like, yes. That's not necessarily even related to what I sell. It's kind of. But one of the things I just wrote here, and I want to just run this by you because this was kind of similar to what we came up with, was I wrote, I believe every company is underutilizing technology and thus increasing their operating expenses. Now, is that too long? Is it too technical for what you're looking for?
I'd like to get a belief statement that just gets general agreement from me versus just, it's a little too technical for me. I want you guys to understand that if I believe the same things you do, I'm going to move towards you. Okay. Now, how many, let me make a general statement. How many of you believe there's a difference between an occupation and a vocation?
I do.
Okay. All right. Now, occupation is that which occupies your time and which you receive a paycheck for. Vocation from the Latin term voice or calling in life. Okay. I believe there's a huge difference between a occupation and your calling in life. And I believe the people who do the biggest things in the world are on mission. They're not going to work. They're going to a mission. So people that work with me know this is our mission. This is not a job. It's not a 9 to 5, 1 hour lunch. Now, the reason I tell you that is there's going to be a percentage of people in the world that as soon as I say that, they're like, yes. Then there's going to be a percentage of people go, forget that, right? Like, I want to go in. Like this morning, there was 25 people in line at Krispy Kreme donuts. They're more excited about getting them donuts than going and making some money. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, here's my point. Those people look at me like I'm from another planet, Tim. They're like, they don't want no piece of Coach Burt, okay? Which is exactly what I want. So my point is when you share your
and you don't want any piece of them.
That's right. So it's like I'm weeding out. When you come out of the gate with your belief statement, you're actually weeding out the 84% of people that ain't interested. And you want to have a belief statement that they go, I'm in.
Yeah, and if they connect with you on that belief statement, they're going to then give you the time to listen to what else you have to offer.
That's exactly.
That's going to hit them in a core spot that they're going to connect with.
That's exactly right.
What about something like, I believe every company is getting abused by their phone companies or carriers or something?
That's stronger because there's a little controversy in that one. That hits me a little bit harder. I wouldn't use every, I would use most.
Yeah,
So
something that gets their attention, that catches them off guard, because then you get engagement. If it's just more blah, 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 which you guys all know how I felt about the end result of our exercise on an elevator pitch. I felt it was weak. It was watered down. It didn't excite me. I would have turned it off as soon as somebody started saying it to me. But, you got to say something with conviction, and it's got either some controversy or catches them off guard, something that catches their attention so that you can get engagement and then quickly weed them out or bring them in the fold.
I believe every carrier is getting bowed by the carrier.
So one of the
Is
things,
that what you mean, Tim? I mean, like
I
using
didn't understand
like
what you said.
words like that, or
Boned, did you say?
yeah, just getting killed, whatever.
I don't know about say that.
No one wouldn't say that word, but
Depends on what part of the country you're in, right?
Yeah,
Depends on what part of-
yeah.
I work in New Jersey. Now, this concept though, when you say it abused, I believe most companies are getting taken advantage of by their telecommunications company. They're getting abused by their telecommunication company. Like the point is the brain, if you study the brain, loves to ignore anything it thinks is common. So if it's heard it before, it just checks out.
Right.
Like the brain loves new, novel, different. Right? Why do you think people were so fascinated with Lady Gaga when she came on and she's wearing the meat dresses and she looks different and she's got purple hair and she's different, man? The brain's like, what is she up to? Like, this is crazy. Why do you think people follow Trump so? Because there's no telling what he's going to say. Nobody knows what he's going to say next, which is like, what's he going to say? Right? It's like, cause he keeps people in this state of, it keeps the croc brain out of the equation. Okay. So for you, I just think you got to hit people. Sometimes I've stepped back and go, my belief statements are not strong enough. Then I would strengthen them. I go, man, I believe it's crazy for you to go at this alone without a coach in your life. You waste time, you waste money, you waste energy. Like I started being a little bit more bold with my belief statements, because I'm really trying to get people to, a lot of marketing is if you don't have a message that repels some people, you won't have a message that attracts the right people. You follow what I'm saying? If your message is like this, like some EOSs are like this. It's like, is that it, man? That's boring. Like there's nothing.
I think that belief statement is something and that all of us have to work on, because like you just said, as you've reviewed yours, you've gotten more bold with them. The first time you try to do them, it's going to be very awkward because you don't normally do that.
That's right.
So you got to come up with something. And then like Coach Burt said, then look at it again a little way down the road and become more bold, get used to talking like that. Right.
And then it's going to become a muscle. It's going to become a habit. It's just normal for me now. When I get in interviews, guys, let me tell you what I believe. Thank you for asking. Let me tell you what we do. Let me tell you how we do it different. It becomes this modality of how you can use this thing in so many ways. It's really one of the most powerful things that's ever helped me, because I want to know, do you believe the same things I do or not? And if you don't, it's okay. I ain't got time to waste on you. Let me move to the next person. And when I say the buyer versus the seller, a true person of interest is doing the buying, not the selling. Okay. It's like you have something valuable. You have a set of beliefs. People are aligning themselves with you. It's like, okay, who's in, who's out? Well, that belief statement is it. Okay. Are there any questions? I want you to keep working on this, because after today's coaching, you're going to have a little bit more clarity about how to do it. And then Tim, when you mentioned about that first step, I would go back now and do the 3 steps: strong belief statement, example, and then a call to action. And mine is, I believe every person on planet Earth needs a coach. We routinely help people get a 43% increase. If we could do that for you, would you be interested in talking about it? That's my 3 steps.
Would you do 3 belief statements like you said?
In the long form version, I would, but not in the short form version. Short form version, I would hit them with your strongest belief statement.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have
Coach? Hey,
Yes.
Coach, would you have any recommendations on maybe a book or 2 that you have read, it's influenced you in reference to this? Because as you talk, I'm recalling a little bit of Challenger Sale, a little bit of Starting with the Why.
That's right.
That type of mentality.
Yep.
Especially in that belief statement. It's not what I do, it's not how I do it. You know what? At the end result is the end result.
Yeah.
So would you have any recommendations like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The guy who created EOS believed there was 3 books that were directly tied to EOS. One, he was a big Simon Sinek person, Start With Why, or Find Your Why. See, Sinek wrote Start With Why only to figure out most Americans didn't know their why.
Right, exactly.
Then he came back and wrote Find Your Why, which is more.
I thought it was marketing. I thought it was marketing until I actually read it and got something out of it.
Yeah, which the Find Your Why is more of a workbook where you kind of work through it. The Challenger Sale that you mentioned is a book that I do believe in because you are an expert, and the expert actually challenges the premise of the prospect. Like you can tell I'm a challenger. Like I'll push back on you. When you give me some lousy excuse, I'm gonna come back and come on, man.
I love it. Yep, love it.
And then the third one is my book called Person of Interest, and Person of Interest was really what inspired the guy who created the EOS to write it, because he said people of interest have something valuable to say. They have a framework. They have a structure. They're not just selling insurance. They're not just selling telecommunications. They're actually selling convictions. They're actually selling a set of beliefs. That's what people of interest do. They have strong messages. I mean, just think about when you really are in the presence of a person of interest, they know what they believe. You may not like what they believe, but they are very clear in their set of beliefs. My doctor in Houston is very controversial because he's a strong Christian Republican conservative, and he filed a lawsuit against the city of Houston because Houston was going to make every person in Houston wear a mask for X number of time, anytime they went out in public and to work. And he's a doctor, and he's like, look, I've seen 41,000 people in my life. This goes against our constitutional beliefs. Meet me at the front doorstep of the courthouse, and we're going to have a rally. And he got like 400 people there in an hour. And here's my point. He's controversial, but you know what he stands for. You know what he believes. Right. And he believes we should get Texans back to work. We believe that it's safe to go back to work. I'm a doctor. We believe that it's been blown out of proportion, whatever. And so some people love him and some people hate him, but he knows that. He's got a core belief. And I actually texted him last night and said, man, I just respect you for at least having some beliefs and sharing those beliefs. That don't mean I'm going to, so my point to you is I'm trying to get y'all to the point where you're very clear. We believe this. Here's why. Here's what we do. Here's how we do it different. Now, it may not be for you. And if you want to go with the cheapest, or you want to go with the skimpiest, or if you want to go with internet that may or may not work, or if you want to go with phone systems that are not clear, so that's up to you, man. Who's next?
What's great about that is there's certain things that we know in this business. So like we know that people think they spend too much. We know that people have downtime. We know those things. That's so right. Because we know those things, that can become part of the belief. In building on what you just said, it's not, hey, would you like to save some money? It's this is how much money I can save you.
That's right.
It's not how does downtime affect the business. It's I know how it affects your business. So here's the contingencies you need to have in place.
That's right. See, that's the Challenger sale. That's a challenger coming out, and you're telling me, here's your problems and here's my solutions. Okay. And I have found, I'll close on this. I have found that most people have no idea what their problems are until you tell them.
Right.
Okay. And that goes back to what Jobs used to say is the customer never knows what they want. How many of you remember those days we had a boom box? We didn't know we wanted an iPod until Jobs brought it to us.
It's true. It's true.
He showed us that we needed it. We didn't know we needed it. Okay. It's like you're enlightening something. So the Challenger brings an idea and says, this is how you're going to grow your business. You don't even know how much money you're losing right now, but you are losing money. And you don't even know how this could be better. And I'm going to show you we're shining light on darkness. That's what the word enlighten means. So let's go to work on the EOS. Tim, what I'd like to see is these people tighten it up. Everybody on the call today, based on the coaching. Yeah. Let's get it good and tight now that you've been coached on it. And if you want to go back through this, we recorded this, so I can send it to Tim. He can send it back out to you guys. So
yeah, I was going to ask you that. We really need the recording because I got my team has been working on this with me for the last 2 days, but we were on a different path than what this meeting just created.
Yep.
And you just fixed that path. So now my team will get together to rebuild this the way we should have done.
That's right. Okay, good. Well, we'll record it, send it to you, and then we'll keep moving the ball down the field.
Hey, Coach, this is Ted. I have a quick question for the group, and that's, would it be bad if 2 or 3 of the people wanted to get together and they could kind of brainstorm together on what they believe the beliefs are, or kind of help use that as clarification for themselves? Or do you think this is like a one-man thing, you should do it on your own?
I actually think that it's better. I like sharing the ideas. I like the idea of saying, is this a strong enough belief statement? I like the idea of just now that you have the framework, playing pitch and catch, to use a John Smoltz concept, right, Jim?
Yeah.
I think you're better when you pitch and catch this back and forth. Like, hey, let me tell you what I believe, and boom. How strong do you think that is? And be brutally honest with each other. If you have weak belief statements, say, man, that sucks. Don't ever say that again. Okay?
Yeah.
You get the feedback.
I have another question too. Do you think we should strive as a group to have a consistent EOS, or do you think it should be very personalized for each individual? I mean, I think what we were striving for before when we did these exercises, we're trying to come up with the, quote unquote elevator pitch that I, felt was watered down. I think we were trying to come up with something that was the same,
company.
that everybody would be able to say the same thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a little bit more personal, and you need to be convicted to what these beliefs are. You individually need to be convicted. And so, like, if I wrote this for everybody, and then and say Ted and I wrote it and said, hey guys, here's our EOS, go memorize it. This is what you need to say. It's not going to nearly have the same impact as everybody needs to believe their own EOS. They need to buy into it, and it needs to be meaningful, and it needs to be real. You can't have an EOS. You can't talk about being a coach, a championship coach, if you never were. So everybody's got to, I think, I love the idea of teaming up and working through it, because there's certainly going to be a very solid thread of similarities across the board with everybody. But I think everybody's going to have to make it theirs, because they need to know it. Like, Coach, it's pretty clear. It rolls right off your tongue. I mean, you've been doing it enough. You can say it over and over again. It doesn't take you a second to pivot and handle an objection and move to the next point. And if it's not personal and you aren't convicted to it because it's yours, it won't come off that way, and people can see right through that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my team hears me talk about it so much that it becomes kind of part of the fabric of the company. We've kind of replaced the mission statement and the vision statement with this. This is what we believe in our company. Yeah.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah. But I think although it needs to be personal, I think it's got to be similar and along the same vein. Like, we can't have somebody with one EOS that's completely out in left field compared to everybody else's, because it to me, that just doesn't make sense. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think if you talk about it enough and have it enough, it's like, boom, this is what we believe around here. This is why we believe it. This is what we do. But every person, just know this is a framework, and the framework gives you flexibility, and the framework allows you to explain your value in a much bigger way. Okay.
All right. And then, back to that consistency and sort of all looking like the same team and being on the same page. Do you think there's a problem with us requiring everybody to shave their head?
No, I actually think it's a good idea.
I do too.
If you want to.
Tim and I have that covered. So do you, Coach.
They have growth drugs, Tim.
Coach said to make it
They have
sexy
growth
look.
drugs.
I'm already in there. I'm already in there with you.
Yeah. We got her there too.
Thank you guys for being coachable. Have a good weekend. I feel like we're making progress. I really appreciate how hungry you guys are. I get to coach a lot of people, but I can tell when people are hungry to learn and engaged, and that means a lot to me. I'm not having to like psych you up and get you as motivated to learn like you want to get better. So let's keep getting better. And the better we get, the more we're going to produce. Okay.
This was great, Coach. Appreciate this.
All right. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day, guys. I'm Coach Michael Burt, and the #1 book that I've written over the last couple of years that could help you during these unusual times is a book I wrote called Inside the Mind of a Monster. Now, I want to give you that book. All you have to do is text 678-506-7543, because when you text that in, I'm going to give you a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, and it's going to show you the habits and mindsets of top producers and how they attack every single day versus play defense. Don't you want to play offense? Get this book. I'm giving it to you. And I'm telling you, I'm going to turn you into a legendary creature.